So today we're going to be taking a look at installing a trailer brake controller in the 2022 Nissan Frontier. A little while ago I decided, hey, I don't have the time to do this, I'm just going to pay the dealership to do it, and boy was that a hard lesson to learn. So I'm going to show you first of all what the dealer did and then how to fix it. So if you've brought your brand new 2022 Frontier into Nissan and had the same crappy brake controller installed as I did, this is how you can go about fixing it and making it something that you actually want to have in your truck. So this is what Nissan considers to be a professional installation of a trailer brake controller. So you'll see that they've installed the traditional knee knocker style brake controller, and they've made absolutely zero effort to disguise the wiring. So there's no wiring harness put on it, no cable management whatsoever. And they've just dangled it over the dash in the most convenient for them possible method. It both looks like crap and in the process ruined my dash. If you can see, they've actually screwed it into the dash, and so I have remedied the problem by requesting that they give me a new dash, and I bought my own trailer brake controller that's gonna just get installed into a little empty switch plate. So if you've already got your trailer brake controller and you want to improve it, or you're thinking about installing one, I'm going to show you a much better option than this. And I just want to point out, Nissan Canada, if you've been installing these, you should feel ashamed of yourself. You're taking a very expensive brand new vehicle and making it look like a 14-year-old kid with a soldering iron decided that he was going to hack away at his crappy old truck. This isn't a 1980s beater truck. This is brand new. You should put in something that looks factory. I know you don't have a factory controller, but the REDARC Tow-Pro Elite or the REDARC Tow-Pro Liberty are great options. It's a factory look, and there's other ones available from Tech-Onsha. Just stop installing the crappy $60 Curt brake controllers, please. You'll also notice that when they reinstalled the dash, this never actually sat back down properly. So this is the hood latch release, and you'll see that it sort of permanently sticks out. It's not supposed to do that, so we'll go ahead and fix that as well while we're at it. But let's start off by popping that, and we'll go and disconnect the battery. Now, whenever you're working on a new vehicle, it's a good idea to disconnect the negative terminal of the battery. This is just to make sure you don't accidentally set off any airbags. You shouldn't be having to disconnect any to do this job, but just to be safe in case you knock one by accident, you don't want to get popped in the face by an airbag. It's pretty dangerous. So start off by taking this off. So it looks like our tool of choice is going to be the 10mm socket. A wrench is actually pretty difficult to get in there. So just loosen that up. Give it a jiggle, and now you're safe. Make sure you tuck it away so it's not going to pop back on the terminal, and now you're free to start taking off panels in the truck without worrying about activating an airbag. Now, as you can see from the back of the replacement panel, this mostly is just going to pop off. It's held by one screw coming through here where the hood latch is. Other than that, it's just these standard clips, so it pops out. We'll be able to replace all of the switch terminals by just unscrewing them and popping them into this panel. Other than that, I think there's quite a few things that do connect on here, so we'll go through each of those as I disconnect them and pop them onto the new panel. So you'll see right here is the screw that I was talking about that we need to remove. Okay, stick that somewhere you're not going to lose it. Now after that, it's just going to be a matter of tugging on the panel to release it. But since I already know we're going to need to get into the kick panel here, we got to take off this little door trim and the kick panel in order to access the plug-in for the trailer brake controller. So we'll do that first. To make this a little easier, I'm just going to pull out my mat. And then this should just pry right up. So we got one of the little plastic screws over there. You just need a flathead screwdriver to pull out. So see if we can get this guy out of here. we go. Now this should just pop right out. Give it a good tug. And then we're just held in by a couple of clips there. Now our trailer brake controller looks like it's going to be right up in there. So our next step is going to be popping out this old dash panel. I say old as if it's old, but it's brand new, just been drilled through. So to do that, I'm going to set up the tripod because I don't think I can do this one with one hand, and we're just going to give it a tug. Now I need to make sure that I keep their old brake controller in good shape because I'm going to be returning that to them for a refund because I was not happy with either their selection of trailer brake controller or their installation of it. Looks like that's going to be easier to disconnect once it's taken out. Alright, so let's peel that door trim off a little bit. Just work at these clips. I always find clips the most unsettling way to attach things because you can never tell how hard you should be pulling, but these ones actually come out pretty easily. There's the brake controller. Now, the easiest thing to do is to probably just replace these entire switch clusters. Now you won't normally have to do this to do the trailer brake controller. I'm only having to do this because I'm replacing the dash panel. So usually you can actually leave the trailer brake controller, or you can leave the dash panel installed, this lower dash panel here, and all you have to do is take off the kick panel. I don't know if you can see that, but this is that's how Nissan left that. I can't say that I blame them because this is a bit of a pain in the ass to take out. Yeah, that looks like we're going to need some needle nose pliers. Now I'm somewhat inclined to take this off in the way that it looks like they did, which was just to pry the actual panel rather than squeeze my nice cable, but we'll go ahead and do it what I'm assuming is the proper way. It now makes sense why this thing stuck open a lot. Alright, so now we're just left with popping out these couple of clips here. So there's our old panel with the vampire marks in it, and we're going to swap everything into the new panel. So shiny new panel. We'll start off with our ignition switch. Make sure we stick it in like this to line her up. Now the nice thing of taking off the switches as one unit is didn't have to deal with unplugging them all, popping them out of their little cases, which can be a bit of a pain. Now, like I said, we're going to reorganize the switch plates a little bit, or the switches a little bit, make it so that more of the four-wheel drive stuff is accessible at the top where you can see it. In the standard configuration, you pretty much can't see your rear diff lock, and if you're off-roading and you need the rear diff lock, you want to be able to hit it, not just start reaching down by your knees and hope for the best. If we look at the switch orientation, we start off with our top plate. We have our tow, our meter brightness, trip reset. But then you'll see here we have the vehicle warnings. So this is like your lane change warnings and everything. And the power switch being the easiest accessible, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we're going to pop those guys out and we're going to move them down. And our next block down is the cargo lamps and the hill descent. And then right at the bottom we have the traction control and the diff lock. Now those are probably the two most useful ones, so we're going to swap those up to the top. Now looking at this wiring harness, this could be pretty tricky. There's not a whole lot of extra wire that's provided, so we might need to do some fancy rejiggering to see what we can arrange here. So I'm going to pop these out off camera. Okay, and you'll see the trailer wiring harness is tucked right up here. I don't have the manual dexterity to do this one-handed, so we're going to bust out the tripod again. All right, and there we go. Now we're going to be replacing this with the Tow-Pro Liberty trailer brake controller. So this is by REDARC. Now they do have the Tow-Pro Elite. The Tow-Pro Elite is better if you're going to be doing a lot of off-roading with your trailer, but I'm towing around a horse trailer for a mobile bar. I don't intend to go off-road with it really. And the nice thing with this is it's going to install into a switch plate, and that's all you're going to see. So we'll gut the internals of this blank switch plate here. And then this will get installed through there, and then it'll just be a little dial so you can adjust your trailer brake gain. Now the advantage is this is just going to tuck up under here somewhere, so we'll find a nice out of the way spot to tuck this. So this is a 3-axis IMU in here, or 3-axis accelerometer, so you can actually install this in any orientation. So most of the knee knockers basically need to be installed at a specific angle, and that's super inconvenient. So this just tucks in behind your dash, and then you wire it remotely into the little switch that you install. So let's get going with this. In order to do that, we're going to need the REDARC wiring harness. Now it does say Frontier 05 to 19, but fortunately Nissan hasn't changed the harness at all. So this is just going to plug right into that same harness. Okay, and then this will plug into this side of the REDARC, but we first need to figure out where we're going to put it. So I'll look around first, see what a good spot is, and then once I find one, I'll show you a close-up. So I found a pretty decent spot for it over on the left-hand side behind the kick panel. It definitely clears the e-brake, so that's really all that matters. And there's a mounting hole for a screw right here, and then on top I looped a large zip tie. And so you can see it's very, very solidly mounted, not going anywhere, so that's a perfect position for it. And there's a bit more of a zoomed out view. So as you can see, it didn't take a whole lot actually to reroute the wiring for the switches. And if you look, we now have the things that we're going to use frequently close together. What I'm noticing now though is that the switches aren't all the same color. That's interesting. So the cargo lamp and hill descent are black. The power is black. And then the rear diff lock and traction control are gray. And the safety sensors are also gray. So that's interesting. That's kind of dumb. Way to go, Nissan. Try color matching your plastics. But yeah, panel's looking good. All you gotta do now is connect the hood latch, and then wire in the plug for the trailer brake controller. So for reinstalling these, this is going to be the easier way to do it for sure. And there we go. Now we gotta put this screw back in, and we'll test our hood latch. Snaps right back like it should. Alright, so now I'm gonna need to modify my switch plate. And in the REDARC manual, you got to drill a 3/8 hole and a 1/8 hole that are spaced by 0.3 inches, but since we're in Canada, we have a 5 mil hole. Well, the large hole is a 10 mil hole, small hole is a 5 mil hole, and they're spaced 7.5 millimeters apart. So I'll go do that in the shop and pop back out and install this. So just using an X-Acto knife here to slice off these tabs. Being careful not to go all the way through because we don't want to cut the front of the switch plate. And with a little persistence, voila! Okay, so here's the switch plate ready to go. So you can see that there's a 3/8 hole and a 1/8 hole. So this should fit up in here nicely. Alright, so switch plate, and then we add the little trim plate. Push our controller in. Well, maybe I'll push the controller in first. Trim plate. And then the locking nut. This is just a 12 mil. Alright. Now, I believe you're supposed to stick this all the way to the left, so we'll see. So you gotta make sure this is set all the way anti-clockwise. And then we're gonna line up the 0 with the indicator there. And just double check that your button still pushes. Looks like we're good. Alright, let's stick the switch in and plug it in. Make sure I stick it in the right way. Now it's gonna be a little tight because this switch was a bit bigger and it's actually spread out the mounting points. Oy vey. Good, we'll stick our other blank out plate in there. And then give her the old reach around. And then I just need to zip tie that out of the way and we're good. And there we go. So you decide which looks better. Alright, we'll just get the power hooked back up. Now I'm sure the truck's going to be angry that it's been disconnected, so things are going to have to reset. Make sure we get this nice and snug. So if I push it, comes on, I can easily adjust it. And that's something I don't mind being down low where I can't see, because it's easy to just reach and grab the knob. And now you'll see I can easily get to all of the four-wheel drive controls, cargo lamp, power, and parking driving sensors. So the last thing I got to do is calibrate the brake controller, but I'll do that another day.